questions in the room, please raise your hand. If you have questions in the Zoom, please use the digital hand.
Well, I thought in the first half, I thought we had some rust early, and they came out. You got to give them a lot of credit. They came out ready to play, and they were tougher than us to start the game off. I thought we finished off strong at the back end of the second half, going into halftime. Some guys came in and made some big plays for us. I thought we toughened up a little bit. I told the guys at halftime I didn't think we were executing our game plan like we had talked about before the game. And we've got to give those guys a lot of credit. We came out in the second half, we toughened up, and we executed our game plan to a T. We jumped on them quick, and we never looked back. And, our guys finished strong.
Questions in the room?
For either of you, Darius Burford has scored 23 points in each of his previous 3 games against you. Today, 4 points in 34 minutes. Cold shooting night, something special on defense, something else?
No, I thought, we talked about that, the exact thing that you said, and we knew we had to key in on him. The first couple times we played them, he's a hard right-hand driver, okay, and he's extremely athletic and fast, and we let him get to his right hand way too many times in those first 2 games leading into this one. And we did a really good job today of sitting on that right hand and kind of crowding the driving lane so he couldn't get all the way to the basket. And multiple guys guarded him, but I thought Michael Koru did an unbelievable job keeping him in front, and the other guys did a really good job of, closing those driving lanes down.
Questions in the room? Going to go to the Zoom and Kyle.
For both Coach and Jalen, with Shaquem, being in foul trouble in the first half, how big was it to have him score so frequently right out of the gate to start the second half in terms of kind of establishing some momentum?
Shaw, yes, about Shaw. I couldn't hear him.
Can you repeat that a little louder? We're having a hard time hearing you.
What is foul?
Yeah, sorry about that. I was asking about Shaquem, where he had foul trouble in the first half, but for him to score a few times right in a row, right out of the gate in the second half, how kind of important was that for establishing momentum and getting him part of the offense?
Oh, no, it was extremely important. Shaquem is a huge part of what we're doing, and we need him out on the floor because he's a threat to score the basketball. And he's done that multiple times this year, coming in the second half after being in foul trouble, and he's got off to hot starts early. And he was able to get in the paint and make some plays, whether it was off the dribble, getting to the rim, or offensive rebounds. So it was huge having him start off like he did in the second half.
Jerry?
For both of you, I was wondering, obviously you guys had a lot of comebacks during the season. I think it was Jalen that talked about it just after the game on the floor. But does doing this in a tournament setting, obviously the pressure's a little higher, is that different than mounting a comeback in the regular season?
I didn't hear what you said. I'm sorry.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I was asking, obviously you guys had a lot of comeback wins in the regular season. I wondered if doing this in a tournament setting where obviously it's potentially one-and-done scenario, is that different and add another layer to you guys that you couldn't have gotten mounting all those comebacks in the regular season?
Oh, yeah, definitely different because it's win or go home in the tournament, and we have to be laser focused in the tournament. It's definitely different from being in a tournament in the regular season.
Jalen, for you, when you guys got down 18-4, like from that point on, you were really aggressive offensively. I mean, what changed for you, obviously, at that point in time in the game?
Yeah, they had a smaller guy on me, and I was settling in a lot. So I really, after the little run they went on, I just really focused on taking what the defense was giving me and not forcing a lot of shots. I felt like early on I was forcing a lot of shots and a lot of off-balance shots, fadeaway shots, and I just started taking what they were giving me.
And you guys had a pretty decent crowd come down from Carolina. I mean, how'd you guys feed off that throughout the day?
Our crowd is great, man. Our home games, we got the best crowd in the CAA, and they get us going definitely, and we appreciate them a lot, especially when we get on runs and they're loud. That helps us out on the court.
Anything else in the room? One more in the corner.
I'm just curious, with Elon coming into this tournament as a lower seed the last 2 years in a row and making it to the semifinals, is that something y'all thought about? Did you take Elon more seriously at all tonight, or was it more the motivation from them having beaten y'all earlier this season?
I think it was just one of those situations where we know it's at stake. We know they're a good basketball team. We respect what they do, and they put it on us pretty good at their place. We knew why. Okay, they were tougher than us, and we didn't execute in the moment like we normally do. And these guys have figured out how to win, and they want to keep this thing going. So we knew coming in that they were going to be a tough out. And so we wanted to make sure we did what we do well and win the toughness battle and play harder than them. And we knew if we did that we would be okay. So we really didn't focus as much on them. We focused on ourselves and doing us well.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Statement from Coach.
Yeah, first I want to give credit to UNC Wilmington. I've kind of said all week, I think they're the most talented team we played in March in our first few years here together at Elon. And I think it was a tale of two halves. I want to commend them. I want to commend Coach Siddle, who I thought deserved Coach of the Year in our conference. And I wish them all the best going forward. Thought it was just a tale of two halves. I thought, first half, I thought we could be up even more at the end of the half. I think they were feeling a bit better about themselves, but I thought we executed our game plan and in the second half, give them credit. They responded, and I thought we set the tone the first half. They set the tone the second half, to their credit. And we need to be better, but our guys never going to quit. You could see that at the end, and we kept competing, to try to keep fighting. But just a tale of two halves. Defense is always where I look first, and you just look at the field goal percentage alone. Was a big difference maker. So, but proud of our guys, man. Proud of this group. Proud of this guy and our seniors. I mean, they've left their legacy here at Elon. There are day ones as I came in as head coach. He's been with me for 3 years. I've been Elon for 3 years, and I've been lucky to be around a lot of special leaders. Tuck Hannis, maybe the best by example with his voice, everything. So just proud to roll with these seniors. Really want to make it about them here as we wrap up this season. They've meant so much to us.
You have a question? Please raise your hand. We'll get to you at the microphone. Questions in the room? Aaron?
Coach, just wondering what you said to those two when they walked off the court there for the final time.
Yeah, just obviously we've had a chance to talk a lot down the stretch with senior day, and it's kind of neat for Chuck. He kind of the second senior day we played our last regular season game in Boston and had 30, 40 people there. So we've talked a lot about what he means to me and us and our program. But I just wanted to grab those guys that moment, just say how much I care about them. This is forever. It's hard in that moment, right, to kind of realize, hey, your career's done, but their relationship with Elon, their relationship with us is not. It's forever, and I love those guys so much. They mean the world to me. They're going to have such a special place in my heart, and just want them to hear that in that moment.
And then just in the second half, defensively, do you think it was just kind of inability to keep them out of the paint, keep them from getting downhill, or what do you think kind of went wrong in the second half there on the defensive side of the ball?
Yeah, it was that. I mean, they made an even more concerted effort to just get downhill. I thought we were doing a great job with our gaps. You got to guard them with more than one guy. That was something we really emphasized as R5 against their individual players. And I thought they just made a concerted effort to get downhill, crash the boards. Certainly, we had to live with some of the threes and some of the shots that they made. We just had to. But I just think our attention to detail wasn't quite to the level it needed to be in the second half versus the first. But, they made a concerted effort just to kind of ram down our throat. It's what they do, and to their credit, they play in space really well and put a lot of pressure on you.
What did UNCW do well in the second half to keep DB and Mac without a field goal for the second half?
Yeah, I mean, I'm always going to look what could we have done as a staff, right? I'm always going to look that way. I think we're going to have to grow a lot offensively here in the future. Those guys have been so important to us, but any team that knows their value is going to try to make it really tough on them. But I just think they ramped up the pressure. Those guys had to handle the full court all game. It wears on you a little bit too. So I think some of the shots you're accustomed to them making, or in DB's case, finishing, it just was a little bit tougher. An athletic team and talented team, but just kind of wore on us as the game progressed. But love those guys. They were all conference for a reason. I think they could be one of the best backcourts in our country. Obviously, country in our conference, maybe country in the future. This season and going forward. So, I don't think there's anything particular. They just, the pressure wears on you, and they were, they've been getting other teams' focus and best shot all season.
And then Chuck, first, just congrats on an excellent career. But Coach talks about just you being one of the greatest leaders he's ever been around. What is some parting words that you might leave for your teammates as you finish out your career here?
Yeah, we talked in the locker room. I talked on my senior day. Coach Shoggy, the rest of the coaching staff, believe it or not, they really did save my life and my own personal confidence. It was kind of tough for me after my first year getting a new coach, but inherited, whatever you want to call it. The coach came in and treated me like one of his own, and has treated me like one of his own for the past 3 years I've been with him. So just hearing that, seeing who he's been around in his career and hearing him say that I've been one of the best leaders, it means more than I can even put into words. It's just been an unbelievable experience. It still fully hasn't hit me yet that my career is over, or whatever you may call it, but I know that the relationships and the bond and the camaraderie that I have with the guys in the locker room and even the coaching staff is something that I can have for the rest of my life.
Go to the Zoom and Jerry, and then back to the room.
Hey, Mike. Obviously, you guys have had 3 pretty, different runs in the tournament the last 3 years. What do you take as you go forward with some new guys next year? What have you learned these last 3 years about what it takes to get to that next step and beyond in the league?
It's Jerry, to be honest. I'd love to take a call with you later and talk to you about that. It's tough to talk about right now, especially this guy to the left of me and Chris Wooden and Charlie Mendes in that locker room. I was proud. Anyone who follows us, it's 3 weeks ago. We had a really tough week, a 4-game week against some of the better teams in our conference, and we need to play better. We need to compete better, and we really challenged the guys. And a guy like Chuck, who leads us so well, helped us kind of raise the bar for these guys that last week to go on the road and win those games. So I do think this season, I told Chuck and Chris, it's been tough. We played a heck of a non-conference schedule. It may have been too much. That's on me. We've been without some guys that we thought were going to be really key guys for us, but we've always had enough in this room to beat anybody or compete against anybody who we're playing against. But I think these guys are going to look back, like Chuck and Chris, although it was far from perfect, they're going to understand that this year was a really important step in our growth as a program, and they were a huge part of it.
John?
Coach, you spent almost a decade in Durham. I feel obligated to ask, can you share any thoughts about living in a world where Mike Krzyzewski has coached his final regular season basketball game?
It's crazy. Yeah, it's crazy. What he's meant to college basketball, and you'll never see it again. That length of time, that success. Max has got a wry grin over there. I know he's a Carolina fan. Yeah, both. But no, Coach is the best. I'm biased, but you can't argue that he's not the best to ever do it. Not just in college basketball, but maybe all of college sports. And when you're that highlight in your success, you can get picked apart. Anybody can. And I just know him as a tremendous coach, like most people do. But I know him as a tremendous man. And what people don't realize or don't know, what he does for others, returning every letter, taking phone calls with children who are sick or people who are sick, what he does for Duke Hospital, what he does for the Emily K Center, the difference he makes. I get really defensive because, when you have that kind of success, people are going to try to pick you apart. I get defensive because I know what a great man he is on top of Coach, and I'm just proud of him. I'm proud to be a small part of who he was, and I just wish him all the best in retirement. I hope they can max out this year. Knowing him, and he's going to get that team responding from last night, and maybe it's the trigger they need, going into the postseason. But it's hard to believe. He's meant so much to me, to Duke, and to all of college basketball and college athletics. But we just got to salute him.
Anything else? One more.
Chuck, what do you think the younger guys on the team can take away from this game and then apply to maybe next year and in the future?
Yeah, I think that you can apply like the words we live by. So never get too high, never get too low. Unconditional energy. As you can see, first half, Taylor 2 halves. First half we played really well. Second half they set the tone on us. There's a lot of time in a college basketball game, so you kind of always have to be even keeled the whole time. I mean, yeah, I just think the biggest message is the words that we live by. Like I said, like ultimately just unconditional energy. No matter how the season, how the games go, there's always going to be tomorrow. And it's all about responding and all about how you get back up off your feet when you're knocked down. Like all the words that Coach preaches, it's stuff that it applies in basketball and it applies in life. Certainly stuff that I'm going to take in my career as I move forward in life.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thank you.